I am Jeevan Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Public Policy, Law and Governance, Central University of Rajasthan. Today we are going to learn about a new concept called hierarchy in a course Public Administration and Introduction. The objectives of this module are to understand the concept of hierarchy and to discuss the features, advantages and disadvantages of hierarchy, and to examine the attempts made by different organizations to overcome the demerits of hierarchy. The presentation is divided into the following. We will look at the meaning of hierarchy in the first part, and then we will move on to the features of hierarchy, and then in the third part we will look into some of the advantages as well as the disadvantages of hierarchy. In the last section we try to explore the measures taken by some of the organizations to overcome the defects of hierarchy and examine the new modes of hierarchy that are existing in now with reference to governance. Now we look at the meaning of the concept of hierarchy. Students, the concept of hierarchy can be traced to Greek, where it derived from two words, one hieros and the other one archein. What is hieros? Hieros means sacred and archein means rule or order. They may look odd to you. How do we need to do about sacredness in public organizations? There is a reason. These two words are related to the Christian faith, in which there is a hierarchy of God followed by archangel and angels. We also can understand that the origin of the concept of hierarchy is akin to the Christian faith and belief. Similar to the hierarchy in the Christian denominations, the organizations in public sector also will have a hierarchy. In other words, they have certain order or they have certain rule. There are certain layers in a particular organization. To put it in simple words, that hierarchy is about a rule and order in a particular organization. Hierarchy denotes that there are certain layers, there are certain grades of officers who are given particular authority to discharge particular responsibilities. Having said that, we see that in 21st century, almost all public organizations, for that matter even private organizations, follow the principle of hierarchy. Either in practice or in principle, they are following this hierarchy. Therefore, for the student of public administration, it is essential to look into the meanings and definitions of hierarchy. If you look into the public administration literature, we find that the classic public administrative theories have emphasized hierarchy as a central theme in organizational theory. Most importantly, Max Weber has enunciated the principle of hierarchy to understand the legal rational authority. What is this legal rational authority? The legal rational authority is the foundation on which the modern public organizations are established. These organizations follow the principle of hierarchy in terms of there is a gradation of officers at each level. Literally, we see that hierarchy means control of superior over the subordinates, or in other words, control of the higher officials over the lower officials. We can see that in organizations there are certain gradations and there are certain ladders or certain layers. Therefore, it is called as a scalar process by Mooney and Rayleigh. Like in a scale, how we have different gradations and different scales, you also have different scales in public organizations. This is how we can understand the concept of hierarchy. If you go to the meaning of a dictionary, Oxford English Dictionary defines hierarchy as a body of persons or things ranked in grades, orders, or classes, one above the other. As we have seen in few minutes back, that public organizations are organized from the top to bottom. Top managers, middle managers, and lower level subordinates. There is a scale. There is a process in which power flows from the top to the bottom. There is a command that flows from the top to bottom. So it is called a scalar process. Students, now let us look at some of the meanings and definitions given by different scholars in public administration. I will read out each one by one. First, we will see what L.D. White says about hierarchy. For him, hierarchy consists in the universal application of superior subordinate relationships through number of level of responsibility reaching from top to bottom of the structure. What is the emphasis of this definition? In this definition, the emphasis is the superior and subordinate relationships. When you have an hierarchy, when you have a rule or an order, that order is superior above and subordinates below. So the power flows from the top to the bottom. That is how you have superior and subordinate relationship. They reach from top to the bottom. We also have another scholar, Paul Appleby, who defined hierarchy in terms of resources, how they are apportioned, how personnel are selected, and how they are assigned, how operations are activated, reviewed, and modified. The emphasis here is on resources, how they are distributed according to the level of a particular officers. In a particular organization, we see that officers' level determines their position, their pay, their benefits, everything. That is how gradation takes place. We can find in public organizations at the lower rungs of administration, they have least resources. As we move up and up, the middle managers and top managers will be having large number of resources with them to function. And most importantly, we look at the Weber, who is the pioneer of the theory of bureaucracy, who proposed that hierarchy is one of the important characteristics of bureaucracy. To him, hierarchy is the organization of offices that follows the principle of hierarchy, that is, each lower office is under the control and supervision of higher one. Here, the emphasis is gradation, one superior, one subordinate. What does it imply? That superior orders these subordinates, and the subordinates have to obey the orders given by the superior. That is what even all the public organizations do follow in the 21st century. And J.D. Millett also defined hierarchy as the efforts of individuals which are geared together. In a hierarchical organization, efforts of all individuals from the lower to the top are put together to achieve a particular goal. So, hierarchy is relevant to achieve particular goals. And if you put it in terms of a figure, you see that hierarchy forms a pyramidal structure because the power flows from top to the bottom. This is what we can see in hierarchy. This is what a traditional view of hierarchy. Having said that, we'll see how hierarchy can be understood. In order to understand hierarchy, we can look at two views. There are two views proposed by the scholars. One view is conventional view. The other one is instrumental view. Let me discuss what are these views. Conventional view is based on Weberian notions of legal authority. Legal authority is a kind of authority proposed by Weber after traditional and charismatic authority. When rules and procedures are the important pillars of public administration or organization, you see that hierarchy exists certainly. And you also see in the example that I gave that there is a chain of command which works like a glue if you follow the principle of hierarchy. In the process of communication, no subordinate or no individual is left out of this chain of command, and the power is flowed from top to the bottom. Then we look at the alternate view of hierarchy, that is instrumental hierarchy. If you look at the first view of hierarchy, you see that the superior and subordinates have unequal relationship. There is a scope for delay. There is a scope for bossism if you go by the conventional view of hierarchy. The conventional view of hierarchy is attacked by these scholars like Herbert Simon. He proposed this in instrumental view. According to him, hierarchy is not an end. Hierarchy is a means. Hierarchy has to be analyzed in the context of its role to achieve a particular goal. So, hierarchy, according to him, should be used to maximize its role to get the work done. In other words, he says that the superior and subordinate should have a mutual consent and a mutual trust, which is missing in the conventional view of hierarchy. He sees hierarchy as a role only. Once the role is finished, there is no question of hierarchy at all. Here we find that the public organizations and private organizations differ in terms of following the views of hierarchy. In 21st century, most of the public organizations still follow the conventional view of hierarchy, whereas the private organizations are more in favor of following the second view, because in the flat organizations, the communication is easier. This view of hierarchy is voluntaristic. This view of hierarchy facilitates participation of subordinates, facilitate egalitarian access to the bosses. And this view facilitates human interaction between the subordinate and his or her immediate boss. Students, so far we try to understand the meaning of hierarchy and the definitions given by the scholars. And also we try to look at two perspectives of hierarchy. One is conventional, the other one is instrumental.